You know, ladies and gentlemen, we often hear how few members of Congress have served in uniform, but our special guest speaker today is an exception. As Adjutant General, he's overseen the largest Illinois National Guard deployment since World War II. He also led the Illinois Guard's response to the 2011 Mississippi River floods, and he was also active in Illinois Guard's partnership with Poland, and we've heard about that around the world. He's been awarded the Commander's Cross of the Order of Merit of the Republic of Poland from the Polish president himself. Without further ado, a member of the Guard family who is now in Congress, my former colleague, my friend, Representative William Enyart of Illinois. Thank you so much.
Sit down, sit down. Sit down, please. General Grass, great to see you again, my fellow tags, my fellow guardsmen. It's great to be here in Chicago at NGAUS. I'm the guy who bid to get the NGAUS convention here at Chicago in 2014, and a couple of weeks later I retired to leave it to General Crumroy, who is very appreciative of my efforts to get the convention here. It's great to be here with all of you, and as General Eisenhower said, welcome home. It feels like home, and I wish I were in a little different uniform instead of this blue suit, but not that I have anything against blue suiters. Over Memorial Day weekend, I had the honor of speaking in a little town in southern Illinois. And by the way, Illinois is a big state. I don't represent Chicago. I represent southern Illinois. And when people ask where I'm from, I don't say Illinois. I say southern Illinois. And the folks on the East Coast and the West Coast just don't understand how big Illinois is. We're the 5th largest state geographically. If you put us on the East Coast, to give you a little perspective, Waukegan, which is on the Wisconsin line, would be Boston, and Cairo, the very southern tip of Illinois, which is in my district, would be Richmond, Virginia. So it gives you a little perspective on how big the state is. So when you get tired of walking down the Magnificent Mile and spending all your money on Michigan Avenue, come on down to southern Illinois and drink some of our southern Illinois wine. But at any rate, I was speaking over Memorial Day weekend in Murfreesboro, Illinois, which is about 300 miles south, and they asked me to talk about my career. And they had asked me to talk about my career because Murfreesboro is the hometown of General John A. Logan. And General Logan was a Civil War general. He was quite a hero. He's very well known in southern Illinois, still remembered. He has a college named after him. And General Logan led troops through the Civil War, and General Logan was a congressman who left Congress to become a general. So they thought my career might be of some interest. The only problem is I got it wrong. I left being a general to become a congressman. But maybe the next time I'll do it right. As the congressman for the Illinois' 12th Congressional District, I represent Alton, near St. Louis, all the way down to Cairo. It's 12 counties, and that includes farmland, universities, locks and dams, urban metropolitan areas, part of the greater St. Louis metropolitan area, and what I like to call the West Coast of Illinois. I call it the West Coast of Illinois because my district is entirely bordered on the west by the Mississippi River. That's an area that I'm familiar with. As General Danner indicated, I spent a lot of days, weeks and months alongside our Guard members protecting citizens from floodwaters. As the former Adjutant General of Illinois, I'm proud to be standing here with you, our citizen soldiers, for I know all too well what our country asks of us. Now, I said it every day as TAG, and I'll say it again. Thank you for your service and your dedication to our great nation. Now, when I first ran for Congress 2 years ago, I wanted to fight for our military, I wanted to fight for our middle class, and I wanted to fight for our seniors and those on fixed incomes. Now, I'm new to politics, and I had high hopes of heading off to Washington, D.C., and making a real difference with the kind of hard work and the determination that was instilled in me, like so many of you, in our Guard. Now, even with the problems that we have in Washington, D.C., we have been able to make some great progress on the one area that almost every member of Congress can agree on: support for our men and women in uniform. Now, currently, I'm the only former general serving in the House of Representatives, and I sit on the House Armed Services Committee. That's a job I take very seriously. Because of the experience I gained as a citizen soldier and the opportunity to make positive change, we've been able to get a few things done. And when General Tonini was up here talking about the links between the tags and the members of Congress, I will attest to that. And I think that we've got a great working relationship with General Grass, with the National Guard Bureau, and with the tags. Now, in my first year, I wrote legislation to streamline and to reduce the number of camouflage uniforms created by the Department of Defense. When I first looked into the issue, we were wasting $300 million a year on 10 different camouflage uniforms. My legislation brought that number down to one design across the board. Simply put, we cannot be considering layoffs and downsizing our Guard troops and equipment without first cutting out waste. We got a big win for the Guard during We got a big win for the Guard during our most recent National Defense Authorization Act. I, along with other Guard members and retired Guardsmen and women in Congress, fought tooth and nail to prevent the draconian cuts and end strengths that were proposed for our National Guard. And with the support of other great Guard members in Congress, like Tammy Duckworth, also of Illinois, Tim Walz of Minnesota, Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, and others, we won that fight. The Guard must be training on the same equipment that our active duty soldiers train on. I worked through the Armed Services Committee to prevent removing every AH-64 Apache from the Guard to the active Army. That fight is not over, and we will win that fight. Now, we all know, but there are some others who need to remember that the Guard's primary mission is to be our nation's combat reserve force. As you all know, at times during Operation Iraqi Freedom, the Guard and Reserve represented more than 50% of the Army's total combat power in Iraq. With the loss of the Apache to the active Army, the Guard would have no longer maintained strategic depth in that critical area of attack aviation. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today is health care. Health care for veterans. We must and we will get this right. Now, I know that not all of you get care through the VA system. Personally, now that I'm a retiree, I receive health care through TRICARE. But many of our veteran brothers and sisters do seek care through the VA, and our nation has promised to provide them thorough, timely health care. As I mentioned before, I'm new to politics, so oftentimes that means I don't play Washington's games. But one of the greatest lessons I learned through my 35 years in the military is that there is no better way to assess a situation than to put your boots on the ground. And when assessing the health care issue, I often put my boots on the ground with little or no advance notice. Now, I don't play the games when it comes to fighting for health care. I've made 3 stops to VA medical facilities since March. In fact, my first visit to a VA medical center was even before I was sworn in. It was a few weeks after I'd won the election, but before I was sworn in on January 3rd, I went down to Marion VA Hospital and visited it so that I could find out for myself. You know, as every one of you in this room knows, what you inspect gets fixed. So I went to inspect even before I'd taken office. Now, I've also written to both the former and the current VA secretaries, and we've met with former Acting Secretary Sloan Gibson. Most importantly, I've met one-on-one with patients and with frontline staff workers. Now, it's clear to me that we need to cut the red tape and allow the VA system to hire more doctors and staff in an efficient and timely manner. From the day someone gets interviewed to the day they get hired by the VA is a minimum of 120 days. For those of you who are still paying off student loans, you know what that means. A young doctor, a young nurse, a young caseworker who's got student loans or a car payment, rent to pay, mortgage to pay, they can't afford to wait 120 days to get that job. So we need to eliminate that red tape, get these folks on the job faster to care for our warriors. In the most recent VA bill, we successfully fought for veterans who live in rural areas to be able to seek care at a private practice if need be, if they live more than 40 miles from a VA center. And we continue to fight for more infrastructure investments to properly address the needs of our aging facilities. But there is much more that needs to be done. We need better pay. We need better equipment and munitions. We need to hire more veterans in civilian and government positions. And we can do all of this through a united front with the National Guard Association of the United States. And of course, I am a life member. Gus, do I need to show you my card? No. And you know, I'm not a tag anymore, so I can say this. I think anybody who belongs to the National Guard needs to belong to the National Guard Association, and it really ought to be a life member. How's that? That's a retiree speaking. That's why I appreciate all of you being here. Now more than ever, we need to fight for our National Guard. Now, more than ever, we need to stand up and fight for the resources we need to execute our missions. Now, more than ever, we must be proud to serve our nation as the strongest reserve force in the world. Hooah! Come on, hooah!
Thank you.